Oh, look, so-and-so is coming over to quote-unquote chill. Maybe you should eat street dinner, because why cook when there could be far more important matters afoot? Eat Street's got your back, and your sushi rolls, dim sum, and mushu pork delivered to your door. So all you need to do is dim the lights, dip the dumplings, and stay focused on whatever it is that you're doing after dinner. Hungry? Happy? Eat Street.
Green Bay and Appleton get free delivery only on Eat Street.
Should Dalvin Cook be in your starting lineup this weekend? How does Demaryius Thomas' value change in Houston? And what do we make of the Lions receiver core sans Golden Tate? Plus the FFPC fifth-place team in the Football Guys Players Championship. Brad Kruse drops in to talk about John Brown, Philip Lindsay, and much more. We've got a great show for you. Dave Gerzak is here. I'm Eric Balkman. Stick around. Your high-stakes fantasy football hour starts now.
Hey, bro.
Broadcast live and heard around the world, you are now listening to the most entertaining hour of radio on the planet. It's the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour presented by MyFFPC.com with your hosts Eric Balkman and Dave Gerzak. The High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour is your home for football analysis from the best fantasy players in the world. And now, because no one else was available, here are Eric Balkman and Dave Gerzak.
Thanks a lot, Rob. Greetings and salutations, all of you Balkaholics and Gerzak fanatics. Welcome to the latest episode of the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour presented by MyFFPC.com. I am, of course, your slightly above average host, Eric Balkman, and my co-host is the patron saint of fantasy football, the Dizzle, Dave Gerzak. Coming up on tonight's show, do you need to think twice before putting Stephon Diggs in your lineup this weekend? What can Eli McGuire do for you? And the fifth-place team owner in the 2018 Football Guys Players Championship, Brad Kruse, joins us to talk about Cortland Sutton, DJ Moore, and much more. Shout out to the chat room right now. Feel free to post any questions you might have in there. If you want to connect with us on Twitter, please do so. At HSFF Hour, at Eric Balkman, at David Gerzak. Facebook.com/HSFF Hour is where you can reach us there. 347-426-3682. That's 347-GAME-OVA is if you want to hop on the blower and give us a buzz tonight. Highstakesfantasyfootball@gmail.com is the is the inbox. Wow, FedEx inbox. When was the last time I said that? It's been years. If you have any questions for us, now is the time to send them. We'll try to get to all the chat room questions, tweets, and emails in the fantasy feedback segment later on in the show. Want to remind everybody, if you have not gotten a chance to go to rotoviz.com/podcast, please do so, because it was a special show tonight, this week. Kurt Kikas, the 2018 FFPC main event leader. He also has 3 teams in the FFPC main event top 50. He was on the High Stakes Lowdown this week, rotoviz.com/podcast. That is where you can listen to that show. And a lot of good stuff in there. A lot of trade deadline stuff, which we'll get to with Brad Kruse shortly tonight. A lot of great stuff on how he has managed 3 teams in the top 50, what the difference was between 2017 and 2018 for him. All good stuff from at FFBFan on Twitter. That's Kurt Kikas, and it's at rotoviz.com/podcast. Let's get into tonight's show and bring in tonight's guest, ladies and gentlemen, a previous guest of the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour. He started playing fantasy football in 2003, joined the high stakes scene in 2004. He's primarily managed teams with his brother Tim. After winning the inaugural 2007 WCOF Auction Division Championship, they dubbed themselves the Fantasy Assassins the following year. Celebrating this new identity was those 2 guys winning the inaugural Platinum League Championship at the WCOF. And in 2012, they added the Kentucky Fantasy Football State Championship overall title to their list of wins, and now sit in 5th place overall in the Football Guys Players Championship this year. Please give a warm HSFF Hour welcome back to Mr. Brad Kruse. Welcome back onto the show, Brad.
Well, thank you, Eric. Definitely glad to be here.
Well, it's awesome to have you on. I know we've had you on before. You've accumulated several accolades since then, and always good to talk to you and or Tim. Obviously, it's a joint effort with you guys as far as your teams go. Congratulations to you and Tim managing this Dr. J squad all the way up to 5th place in the Football Guys Players Championship. One of the guys who's actually been a big-time key to your success up until this point in Week 9, you hit on in the 17th round, coming off a couple of injury-ravaged seasons in Arizona where he let a lot of fantasy owners down. Why did you grab John Brown there over some other long-shot upside guys?
Well, yeah, so about the time we drafted this team, we were starting to hear some buzz about the connection between Flacco and Brown in camp there. And we liked Brown from his rookie year, so we knew he had the talent, and we knew Baltimore likes to be a pass-heavy team, and Flacco throws deep a lot. So it makes sense there's a connection. 17th round made sense to make that investment and see what fruit it could bear. By the time Vegas hit, Brown was going much higher in drafts, so it looked like it was the right decision.
Yeah, and John Brown too. I mean, I'm actually a little bit jealous because the only league, and I'll welcome in the Dizzle here in a second here, but Dave, the only league I think I have John Brown in was a dynasty league where it was like a dispersal draft, and I have him on that squad. I don't think I have him anywhere else, which is really unfortunate because he's been crushing it this year.
He has, actually, yeah. He had that kind of struggle, I think, a week or two ago. Just didn't do quite as much. And, the thing is he going to keep it up is the question because he's had that historical, kind of boomer bust, not mentality, but that's just the way his production has kind of been.
Right.
And he's kind of a long ball guy. I'm interested to see if he does keep it up. I'm a little concerned myself.
Well, it's like, who's going to pick it up if he doesn't? Is it Michael Crabtree? Is it one of the tight ends of the 8 million tight ends that Baltimore has?
Hayden Hurst is now not really hurt, and he's going to be getting drawn some targets.
I actually have a couple of bids in on him in a waiver, a team I screwed up, and I thought I had a tight end this week. I don't because I have Evan Engram and Eric Ebron on that team, so I had to put in a bunch of miracle, tight end bids tonight, hopefully. And Hayden Hurst was at the top. We'll see what happens there. But that is tight end position. Let's talk about the running back position.
So, Brad, you went hard on Philip Lindsay right after Week 1. You got him on your team. Nice job. Tell us a little bit about what you saw in him in Week 1 that made you want to sacrifice so much of your budget. And do you remember how much you bid, by the way?
Yeah, $388 is what we bid on him, which coincidentally was actually below average. If you look at Fantasy Mojo's site, they do a good job of tracking the average bids for each of the players there. What we try to do with acquisitions is not be too heavy on them. We try to look at one standard deviation below the average, and get them maybe in between a sixth and a third of the time. Players we like. Lindsay, came on. He was a great, in special teams in the preseason and showed flashes, but it looked like it was going to be a Royce Freeman backfield. So in Week 1, it kind of took everyone by surprise when he really took over that backfield. And so we thought it was going to be split time. We assumed he was going to pick up the passing game role from Booker, but he's really been the dominant runner there, so it's worked out for us.
Yeah, Lindsay's been fantastic.
He has been great, and if we'll get to more Royce Freeman talk later on in the show, but how do you, assuming that Royce Freeman misses this week, Brad, are you nervous about Devontae Booker taking any, pass targets away this weekend for the Broncos from Lindsay, or do you think, look, you got to play Lindsay no matter what? I mean, he's a top 10 guy this week.
Yeah, you got to play Lindsay, and unfortunately, he hasn't been as involved in the passing game as we like. Booker seems to have picked up the third down roll and the 2-minute drill there, which are nice bonus points. They don't use him a lot there, but he plays in those situations, which then prevents, of course, Lindsay and Freeman from capitalizing there. So Lindsay's role will be a little higher than normal, which has been just fine. The third down roll, the 2-minute drill there.
All right. Speaking of rookies, too, as long as we're on the subject of Philip Lindsay, let's shift to the receiving rookies here, Brad. DJ Moore, was a key pickup for this team a couple of weeks ago. He was awesome in Week 8, really turned it on. As we look forward to the second half of the NFL season, which is upon us, what do you expect from DJ Moore on the Panthers the rest of the way?
DJ Moore's a little bit of a wild card. We've been watching him. His opportunities have been growing. He's got first-round pedigree, but he's on a more run-oriented team, and Funchess and Olsen are there. Not to mention McCaffrey, who are also in the the target list there. So Moore's probably not going to be a high-volume play. We're hopeful he can develop into a wide receiver too, but I suspect he becomes more of a matchup-based consideration for most of our leagues. We've been sliding him on teams the last couple of weeks, hoping for a breakout, and he gets Tampa and Pitt the next 2 weeks. So now's the time to see if he can actually break out.
Yeah, if you're going to fire that DJ Moore bullet, this would be the next 2 weeks are the times to do it for sure. Dave, you are a big DJ Moore dynasty guy, but going forward this annual season, are you liking him as maybe a wide receiver 3?
Yeah, I mean, I love his talent. I think it's fantastic. He only played 70% of the snaps last week, and Carolina had a big lead, so they didn't even really need to use him. He got most of those yards by just being a playmaker. He's an awesome football player.
Yeah, he is.
So, I mean, I think he's going to supplant Funchess as the number 1 wide receiver on that team. And whether or not he does it by week 10, 11, 12, 13 of this year or next year, to me, is the only question. Funchess, to me, is just not a guy who commands targets. He's a guy who's actually more likely to get 5 or 6 targets, even as he's getting better.
As happenstance.
Right. I mean, he's getting better as his career moves on. Credit him for that. But I think Moore's going to be the playmaker of this team. Other than McCaffrey, he and McCaffrey are the two.
Here's my bold call here. I think that you are the biggest Carolina Panthers. Like you say, I don't root for teams.
I actually like the Panthers.
I'll tell you why. 3 reasons why. DJ Moore, Christian McCaffrey, Steve Smith.
That's right.
3 of your favorite players that you've talked up on this show all happen to have spent, well, I guess the majority of their NFL careers in Carolina Panthers uniforms.
Maybe I'll move there someday.
Here's what I'm going to do with my dynasty leagues going forward. If the Carolina Panthers draft a skill position player in the first or second round, I already know that you're going to be in love with them.
The thing is, I liked McCaffrey and Moore before they joined the Panthers.
That is true. They just happen to be going to Carolina.
Yeah.
I mean, you were talking all about them in the pre-draft process. That I can corroborate.
One more thing.
Sure. Go ahead. Yeah.
If you ask my buddy Kurt, he'll tell you I also like Cam Newton. I secretly like
really?
Cam Newton. We draft Cam Newton in the big payback.
Oh, you know what? That's accurate.
Brad's got the Excel spreadsheet. He's always crossing Cam Newton off when we draft him in those big payback leagues in Kentucky, right, Brad?
Brad, how accurate is that? When Gerzak and Awe are on the clock in the big payback in Kentucky, are you just automatically crossing Cam Newton off your board?
Well, maybe in the 12th, 13th round.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
That's when all the quarterbacks start to go.
Yeah. And you guys are infamous for taking 3 quarterbacks like boom, 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 like 12, 13, 14, or 11, 12, 13.
We think we're infamous to ourselves.
You're definitely infamous. You're definitely infamous.
I don't think they do that every year, but the one year they did that will go down in history.
That's pretty fun. Brad, you guys always. It seems like you always are the last ones to get for some reason, maybe it's your awesome spreadsheets, and you're the last ones to get a good quarterback, and then after you take your pick, everybody else gets shut out. Does that seem accurate to you?
We are known for being usually the last team to pick a quarterback, and as late as the 20th round sometimes. And one year, my brother was doing a draft, and everyone was kind of trying to spike him for a quarterback. So he was waiting, and there was in the draft software chat room, people were saying, "Oh, you got to prevent this guy from getting a quarterback." And he's like, "Yes, please take the 18th quarterback and leave me with the 19th."
Right. Well, the thing is, you get players like Fitzpatrick that just kind of emerge, not out of nowhere, but just kind of do, and all of a sudden you can pick up Fitzpatrick and start him. It works out.
Yeah, I mean, quarterbacks, as everyone knows, are deep. And so usually we get a quarterback we like. But there are some times that, the league goes kind of crazy. And then we look at week 1 and we say, like last year, we looked at week 1, we saw the Rams were playing Indy, and we're like, well, let's go grab Goff. And we grabbed Goff, and, we didn't know he was going to be a top 10 quarterback. But the matchup will probably get us through week 1, and then we'll figure it out from there. And so we never panic.
Wow. I'm curious, Brad, because I know you play a ton of leagues, both you and Tim do each year. Do you have a lot of Mahomes shares or Trubisky shares this year? I mean, are those two quarterbacks, or maybe another late round quarterback that's really been crushing it? Are they on a lot of your teams this season?
We have about our fair share of Mahomes. We don't have a lot of Trubisky. As Bears fans, we look at how inaccurate he is, and we're not that impressed. But his legs are
right.
getting it done for fantasy.
Yeah,
I'd say the most popular quarterbacks on our team were Winston, who was free in drafts, and we thought once he came off suspension, he could rack up a bunch of points with that half of the offense, which was looking really good until last week. And then Stafford inexplicably always goes cheap.
He had a huge week, Winston, like 2 weeks ago, right?
Yeah, and it's just, it's those picks, and it was really unfortunate. And now here's the thing, Dave. I don't know if you and I have talked about this, but Jameis Winston.
He's been riding Uber again?
Not to my knowledge. I think he's a Lyft guy now. For whatever reason, that he just he's a one.
Uber might have banned him?
Yeah, he's a
come on.
1-star rated rider on Uber, so he had to shift to Lyft. Unfortunately, one of those things. Winston's 5th-year option is now only guaranteed by injury.
Wow.
And I can't imagine Tampa trotting him out there and risking that. I think we've seen the last of Jameis Winston in a Buccaneers uniform.
So it's interesting. So what do you think, Brad? What do you think Tampa is going to do next year at the quarterback position if they let go of Winston? Are they going to be drafting somebody just kind of like the Giants probably will?
Probably should be, yeah.
I mean, I think we have to see how the year plays out. Fitzpatrick is a journeyman quarterback. He's a good backup quarterback, but can he string together 8 weeks without them going back to Winston? To me, is the question if they're trying to make a run here.
We'll
and
see.
So if he gets his job
right,
back and he does fairly well, they could try to trade him. But you don't let first overall picks at quarterbacks tend to hit the market. So it'll be interesting.
Yeah. With the trade deadline, they were talking about how Deshaun Jackson. They didn't want to trade him because they were making a run.
Yeah.
They don't. It's like, dude, your team sucks.
Yeah, it's not good. I mean, that defense is not good. There's a lot of holes on that roster.
So speaking of teams that don't suck, this is like I'm going to give you a humble brag question here. There's a ton of bye weeks this week. Yet you have Emmanuel Sanders, John Brown, and DJ Moore in a huge high-scoring game all on your bench this week. Brad, that's it's embarrassing for the rest of us. How tough was it not to play these guys over some of the other playmakers you have in your Week 9 lineup?
Well, so I guess I should preface by saying we actually haven't set lineups yet, other than the Thursday game.
There you go.
Yeah, this is a tough team to figure out who to start, though. We have 4 wide receivers who are averaging 17 or more points, and that's obviously a good problem to have. We have Kamara, James White, and Lindsey. So that's 7 players for 6 spots. Would love to hear your guys' suggestion on which one you bench.
Who are your 4 wide receivers that are averaging the 17?
Devontae Adams, Smith-Schuster, Robert Woods, and Sanders.
Juju, Sanders, Woods. Well,
you're playing the running backs, right?
You got to play all 3 running backs.
Yeah.
There's no way you can't. You just cannot. You have to start Kamara and White. And even Lindsey, I think they're mandatory.
Yeah.
Because when you have a high floor with those guys.
Yep.
I think you have to start Adams. I kind of like Adams, Sanders, and I don't know what about Juju this week? The defense. No.
Well, you said that was a higher than normal total for a Steelers-Ravens game.
It was, yeah. It was. It is.
Comes down to Woods. Hold on. You and I are the same mind here, because to me it comes down to either Woods or Smith-Schuster. Woods against the Saints, which the total in that game's got to be pretty high.
Right. All those wide receivers. Cooper Kupp's back and everything.
Cooper Kupp should be back, yes. And obviously Brandon Cook's out there gumming up the works for all those Rams receivers. But the thing is, that's been the case most of the season, and Woods has still performed. I mean, I should bring it up where he's at as far as where he ranks for receivers on the season, but he's got to be close to top 12 at this point.
I'd probably roll with Juju myself. I think Juju's more talented.
You would go with Juju?
Myself, yeah.
Okay.
I
would probably sit Woods, but this is a decision that Brad, and I know you got a lot of teams, I'm waiting until 12:55 p.m. or 12:54 p.m. on Sunday and make the call then. Like, I want every last piece of information available before I make this call. But to me, it does come down to Woods or Smith-Schuster.
Yeah, I agree. we usually get the selection wrong, by the way.
Yeah. Well, it's tough. I mean, like,
if Woods is the guy you said and he scores 16 points, you're going to get it wrong because one of those guys is going to have.
No, you're right. You're totally right. What about the whole Bill Belichickian aspect of, hey, let's take out the most talented offensive player on defense. That's what we're going to do. Wouldn't that be Devontae Adams?
Probably. I don't know that he's been doing that as much anymore.
Okay.
So
Right.
like we used to always say that.
Yeah. And
what do you think about that theory, Brett?
Yeah. I don't think you can sit Adams down in what's likely to be a high-scoring game. I mean, you'll certainly take, the most attention of the defense away there. But even though they say Allison's not likely to play, you'll have Valdez Scantling and you'll have Cobb and you'll have the running game and you have Jimmy Graham. So they've got places to go from, so they can't stay fully committed to taking Adams away and give up everything else.
I'm changing my mind. I'm sitting Juju Smith-Schuster. I forgot about the whole road Ben aspect, and he's at Baltimore this week. Yeah.
All right, Brett, 1 second. We're going to make a bet here. I'll take Juju. You got
I'll take Robert. Okay, for Week 9 fantasy points, I got 5 on Robert Woods.
I got 5 on Juju.
I got 5 on it.
You know who Juju dressed up as for Halloween himself?
I didn't. Oh, did he really?
Yeah,
Juju.
Jersey.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
He's awesome.
Oh, I love it. We're talking with Brad Kruse, the 5th place team owner in the 2018 Football Guys Players Championship, making his return to the show. We've been talking about receivers. Let's continue on that. How many spots do you and Tim, your brother who manages a lot of the teams with you this year, how many of them do you have Cortland Sutton on, and is he a guy that you're starting right away after the Demaryius Thomas trade this week?
We have about, I'm not quite sure on percentage of teams, but about 20% of our money on Cortland Sutton. Sutton is, I don't see why Sutton wouldn't step right in. I mean, he leads the team, I believe, in air yards and end zone targets already. Thomas steps out, he probably picks up some more targets, so the floor gets higher. Obviously league dependent, but I think he's strong consideration to start in most of our lineups.
Do you like Cortland Sutton there right away this week, Dave, against the Texans?
I do, even though I don't have him anywhere. By the way, thanks, Matt Waldman, for ranking him so low in your thing, by the way.
And by the way, thanks, Matt Waldman, for ranking him so low, because I have him everywhere in Dynasty. Nobody else wanted him this year. I was like, I guess I'll take Sutton here, too.
I didn't have any rookie picks in that exact kind of area.
Yeah.
I did like him, I just didn't get him anywhere.
Well, Dave, he was going at the 112 in a lot of Dynasty leagues, so you sort of had to win the league.
I had the 101 in every league.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway.
What was the question again?
The question was Sutton rolling him out this week. Yeah. You're a fan? Okay. I have him in a couple of, obviously, as I was just saying, I'm rolling him out in a couple of Dynasty leagues. Redraft, I actually only have him in one league, and I think I am playing him as one of my not one of my flexes, as my flex in that league. Brad, you're right. I mean, he's been secretly crushing it all season, and he's been wallowing as the number 3 receiver in Denver. But I think this is a guy that has top 20 upside the rest of the way as far as receivers go.
Yeah, I like him as a 2 for sure.
Brad Kruse, let's talk a little bit. It's such a trade deadline heavy show, Dave. But I think that's what we're sort of ascertaining as far as how all the values are shifting among these players that were traded this week, as well as players that are affected by said trades this week. And let's shift the topic over to Philadelphia, as they acquired a receiver this week from Detroit named Golden Tate. Dave.
Yeah, so the question is, how do you think first of all, I want to tell you one way his value is changing. The idiot gets 2 bye weeks now. Thanks a lot, you piece of crap.
Yeah, that happens. Happened to Mari Cooper.
It's very annoying.
Yeah.
You have him on your team, you're like, all right, you got Tate, I got these guys, and then you have to bench them. Anyway.
But hold on. If you had Amari Cooper who had the back-to-back bye weeks, aren't you be like, hey, this is great.
Yeah,
I don't have to worry about starting Amari Cooper.
Yes, you're thankful, yeah. Again. So how do you think his value changes going to the Eagles?
This was a trade I didn't really understand. Detroit's 1 game back in the division, although they're 4th, but there's only 1 game back from the leaders. So letting Tate go certainly you would think would lessen their chances to make a run there. And then Philly gives them a 3, but they've got Aguilar and Matthews, who are both kind of inside receivers. that seem to be cannibalizing themselves, and now you bring Tate over as a third inside receiver, not to mention Ertz and Goddard there. I think this is a disaster for Tate's fantasy value. He's got to fit into a pecking order there that is unclear where he's going to land.
Brad, Farrell Elliott made the argument on the Kentucky Fantasy Football State Championship podcast this week that Golden Tate will not really be a slot man for Philly. He thinks you're going to see vintage Seattle Seahawk Golden Tate, and he's going to be the deep threat on this team. Do you have a rebuttal on that? I mean, do you see that happening?
Well, I hate to argue with Farrell. Farrell's an insider in the NFL, so. But, I don't think Tate has the speed at age 30 that he had in the Seattle. But they could clearly play him on the outside. They could play any of these guys on the outside, but it seems like they're at their best, in those crossing patterns across the middle. And I don't think this is positive for Tate's fantasy value.
Dave, I don't know if you and I have talked about this at all, but I'm of the opinion that I think Doug Peterson and Howie Roseman and everybody in Philadelphia kind of realized, all right, look, offensive line's a little bit beat up. We don't have an alpha running back anymore with Jay Ajayi on IR.
They never did with the Jay Ajayi, not on IR.
That could be too as well. And they're just like, you know what? Let's make our strength even stronger, and we'll add Golden Tate, and we're just going to have Carson Wentz toss the ball all over the field until his arm falls off, and that is how we defend our Super Bowl title.
Yeah, that makes some sense. I don't really think the receivers were all that fantastic beforehand. They're
more fantastic than the running backs.
But they are. Now they are.
Yeah.
Tate and Jeffrey, that's nice combination.
Yeah. Are you worried about Jeffrey's targets being hurt at all?
You say Jeffrey?
I don't even know what I said.
We always call, by the way, internally, we always call him Alshon Jeffrey.
Alshon Jeffrey.
Because every retard on Twitter.
All right, hey, come on. Just clean up the language.
All right, anyone who's
Alshon
challenged on Twitter calls him Jeffries as well.
Brad, your thoughts on Alshon Jeffrey? Do you see a target, a target disparity or his targets being hit because of the Golden Tate acquisition, or are these more complementary players for you?
I think Jeffrey will be fine. I think he's the alpha there in the wide receiver group. I don't know who emerges as the secondary guys. Does it stay? Obviously Ertz is a high target guy too. But is it? Can you guys still hear me?
Yeah, we can still hear you. You're coming through just fine.
Okay, sorry. Okay. Yeah, so is it Tate, is it Aguilar, is it Matthews, as the other guy? I think that's all up for grabs. I don't think you're going to see any noticeable drop in Jeffrey's targets.
Yeah, it's something that we will be paying attention to as far as those other secondary receivers go in Philly to figure out who is the guy to start after Tate and after Jeffrey for sure. Brad, a lot of the pundits out there that I've read and listened to over the last 72 hours seem to think that Ty Montgomery is actually going to be taking over for Javorius Allen in Baltimore as the pass-catching running back. Is that the way that you see it going down as well? I'm not convinced.
I wish I had a crystal ball here. Buck Allen is a decent catch guy. He's not really a make-you-miss guy or a run between the tackles guy, but he is trusted in Baltimore. Alex Hound has the fumble problem, and Buck Allen's been pretty consistent with keeping that good ball security. But Montgomery is likely better at Buck Allen's best trait, being that receiver out of the backfield. But it might take him a number of weeks to unseat Allen. So can he do it in time to make fantasy impact? Maybe if you make a deep run in the postseason, but likely he's just going to screw everything up amongst the two other running backs there.
I agree with you there. All right, let's talk. We're going to talk about Brandon LaFell.
That'd be good.
He's on Oakland.
He is on Oakland. We can expound on this.
I'm going to go to the bathroom during this
We can have an Oakland. We can expound on this to be an Oakland Raiders discussion, a John Gruden discussion, because what we saw from Brandon LaFell last night, Dave, I think was a little interesting.
Played 99 out of a possible 107 snaps in Oakland last night. That's actually pretty newsworthy. Seeing him taking over as the Raiders' number one receiver. By the way, Jordy was abysmal. He was 2 for 13 or 6. Just awful.
He was bad.
Is that enough for you to want to pick him up in the middle of a bunch of these bye weeks coming up.
For LaFell, not Jordy Nelson.
Yeah, we know that.
Right.
Obviously, you're cutting Jordy pretty soon, probably.
Right.
Obviously, you don't own Jordy. Other people own Jordy.
I guess my first question is, how do you get 107 snaps and 3 points and 170 yards
isn't
for
that
Derek
crazy?
Carr? You know,
Unbelievable, isn't it?
yeah, it absolutely is. I only caught a little bit of that game. I was traveling, but my first reaction is I don't think I want any players on Oakland. That team looks like a disaster right now.
100% agree.
So I would not be targeting, certainly not putting a lot of money on LaFell.
Same thing with Buffalo, too, right? You think same thing?
Yeah, I'm not interested in Buffalo players either.
Yeah, those are the two. Those are, we talked about
Arizona. What else?
Well, I mean, Fitz came on at the end. He had a good game, and I think it's a little soon to sell on David Johnson. I think there's still something there, but outside of those two, I mean, you can't count on Christian Kirk.
Has they've got 3 out of 4 weeks in double digits. He's rosterable.
And he's had his games, and he's definitely for best ball. I'd want him on my team.
They're still trying.
Yeah, no, that's a good way of looking at it. Yeah.
I mean, look at the Raiders' defense.
And Rose
running play, they just gave up.
Right.
It was like an 80-yard touchdown. I'm like, you're not even pursuing.
Yeah. Rose and the Kirk is the future there, obviously. So they want to get that connection and that chemistry going. So that's actually a good point too, with that. But yeah, I mean, you look at, what did LaFell do? He was 90-some% of the snaps, and he still couldn't churn out, a starter-worthy game. So I think that tells you all you need to know about Brandon LaFell, despite him being on the field. Still got to actually do something with it, Brandon. And that's maybe not a commentary on him. It's a commentary on John Gruden and the Raiders offense. Let's get to some emails here, Brad. Kevin in Kissimmee, Florida? Kissimmee?
I go to Disney all the time. I have no idea how you say it.
All right, we'll say Kissimmee.
Kissimmee.
All right, we'll go with that. Is Kenny Golladay a must-start top 10 play the rest of the way now that Golden Tate is in Philly? Nice work in the FPC. That is Kevin in Kissimmee, Florida. Thanks for the email. Kevin, we appreciate that. We talked about Golden Tate and his impact in Philly. What about Kenny Golladay not having to contend for targets with Golden Tate anymore in Detroit?
So that clearly helps Golladay. And I had him kind of as a must-start most weeks. He really disappointed these last two, but he came out on fire. I think he's a solid wide, I don't know about top 10, but solid wide receiver 2, high end 3 the rest of the way for sure.
Dave, is that the way you see Golladay without Tate going forward? Does that seem accurate to you?
Yeah, I hope so. I think he should command 10 to 12 targets. He should be a playmaking type receiver, and really now he's emerging as a second-year guy.
And I just look at what he was able to do with Golden Tate there, and he was startable on several weeks there. I think this is all good for him.
He was a lot more dicey at that time.
Yeah, because he did. And it seemed like even like you look at last week, it was Marvin Jones that was crushing it. You know what I mean? So it's just it was you're kind of playing receiver roulette a little bit there, and I think that is less dicey, as you said, now with Golden Tate moving out east. Jeff in Hamilton, Ohio, speaking of heading out east, can you help a fellow FFPCer out? Who do I start this week? Sammy Watkins at the Browns or Tyler Lockett hosting the Chargers? Thank you for the email. Jeff in Hamilton, Ohio. Brad, do you have a strong feeling or a feeling on this of if you were faced with either Watkins or Lockett as your last flex or last receiver, which guy you would play?
I think I might go Watkins. I was reading that there's a trend of him playing more in the slot these last couple of weeks, and that he could really benefit with additional targets and obviously catches and maybe more space to let his speed take use there. So I think I'd go Watkins.
It's weird because it's one of those things where you look at Kansas City and Seattle has such a low volume passing attack, and Kansas City has such a high volume one. And I actually think Lockett has outscored Watkins on the season, despite that. It seems like Lockett finds a way to get in the end zone seemingly every week or every other week, where Watkins, it's just like, you look at the Kansas City box score. Mahomes crushed it. Hunt crushed it. Hill crushed it. Kelsey crushed it. Watkins, nothing. You know what I mean? It's just one of those things.
There's so many playmakers.
There is. And I think Watkins is paying the price for that. I think I would actually roll with Lockett this week as well against the Chargers over Watkins taking out the Browns. Dave, are you of the same mind here?
Yeah, I like Watkins' skill set better. He had that big week last week, and I think he's on the right path. I totally agree with what Brad said.
Yeah. Brad, you've been very gracious with your time here. Before we let you go, Dave has one final question.
All right, we're going to do a little starter sit help here. So in early round stubs, you think you might want to think twice about starting this weekend? You got to revise the way this question.
All right, I'll let Rob know.
Rob, think.
By the way, audio engineer is Bryce. Producer mutual friend is Rob tonight.
And Bryce is a little sick today, but thanks for coming in anyway.
Yeah, appreciate it.
As well as a lower round sleeper that deserves to be in lineups this week.
Yeah, I mean, week 9, it's hard to necessarily say early rounds are studs, and studs are all early rounders. Could I choose Le'Veon Bell or Leonard Fournette for that answer?
You could, but you will be castigated and vilified for such a remark.
So week 9, the 6 teams on bye. If you've got a stud, you're likely playing them. For a guy who was reasonably early and a lot of people think is still good, maybe Josh Gordon going up against maybe Alexander from Green Bay, who really did a job on Cooks last week. That could give him problems, but be cautious with Gordon. Yeah.
Good.
A late round guy, maybe same game, Marquez Valdez-Scantling with Allison out. He might be a good beneficiary. And you wonder about Equinemius St. Brown. He actually is more of the outside receiver between the two. I'm probably not gutsy enough to start him, but I'm interested in seeing what their roles are with Allison out.
Yeah, I mean, it's not looking for Geronimo Allison. We could be looking at a multi-week absence. That's my hot take tonight, Dave.
What's the injury?
He hurt his groin in practice yesterday.
Ooh,
so this was not something he sustained this past week against the Rams. This was a practice injury. And they've been known to linger. I love MVS. I think he is an interesting guy to roll out as one of your flexes in the FFPC this coming Sunday night against the New England Patriots. I like that call quite a bit, and I think you hit the nail on the head with Josh Gordon. Bill Belichick came out this week kind of unprompted a little bit and said that, yeah, Alexander is going to have a long career in this league. He's going to be really good, and he was a guy that we were looking at in the first round.
Really?
Yeah. That's not verbatim, but not so many words. Now, I was also saying this today on the terrestrial airwaves that Bill Belichick and Tom Brady, like if you and I were suiting up for Green Bay this week, they would be uber complimentary of us. Like that's just what they do.
That Faulkner guy, he's pretty good over there.
Yeah, we're gonna have to game plan for that Eric Waltman at quarterback. Makes a lot of plays out there. So I mean, it's one of those things that you don't know what to believe and what not to believe. But you're right, Brad. Jair Alexander looked very, very, very good last week in Green Bay. However, he did not look as very good as you and Tim have looked as the 5th place team owners in the Football Guys Players Championship as we enter week 9. Thank you so much for coming on the show tonight. Really appreciate you making a return to the HSFF Hour. Good luck the rest of the way, not only in Football Guys, but the rest of your leagues as well, man. It could be shaping up, 2018 could be shaping up for a banner year for you and your bro again. So good luck to you, man.
Well, thank you very much for having me.
Brad Kruse, ladies and gentlemen. You can follow him on Twitter at Kruse_Brad. 5th place in the 2018 FPC. Good stuff from him as always, and great analysis for him. I always get so intimidated when I go to Kentucky and I'm drafting against Brad Kruse. He just has the look of the guy that's just going to rip your heart out at the draft table.
Brad is always smiling. He's always happy to
Yes, until he sits down at the table, he's got that machine in front of him and all the spreadsheets.
He's always very serious in the auction.
Yeah, and
he's constantly contemplating auctions.
Well, Brad and I were in the same Kentucky auction this year, and Kurt Awe,
the returning champion,
the returning Kentucky champion. We shared a team in that league, and we were bidding up McKinnon. Neither one of us, I wouldn't say we didn't want McKinnon, but in auction we kind of liked him, So we're like, we'll just bid him up, see what happens. And then at $17, the bidding stopped, and I'm like, Kurt, we just got him for 17. And Brad looked up from his computer, was like, what's going on? What are you guys doing? What are you letting? And then we got Jay Ajayi later on for $6, and we're loving life now. Both those guys are up for the year.
But actually, let me just say this: your team is still one of the top teams in the league.
It
My
is.
team, and Leroy's team, which we share,
is not one of the
top. It's a basement dweller. It's terrible.
I would say it's a basement dweller, but it's
terrible. It's awful.
Okay.
So you guys are doing great, though.
Your words, not mine. We're 7-1. We're the second highest scoring team in the league. We're looking very good at this point.
Yeah. Congratulations.
We have to, although I think we have Chris Thompson in our starting lineup right now, we got to get him out of there.
By the way, to give Kurt a little, Chris Thompson, good point.
Yeah.
Give Kurt a little bit of props. Team Pigpen, the returning champ.
Yeah.
He's in like 11th place right now.
Yeah. And
dominating again.
Yes. What's going on there? 10 spots lower than where he finished last year.
It's not the end yet.
Come on.
Good job, Kurt.
Pigpen's got to turn it on, which we'll see what happens.
Actually, I think Kurt, by the way, I think he and Leroy have a team in the top 20 in the FFPC main event.
Oh, yeah.
It was in 17th or 18th.
Monte Doncrief.
Yeah, Monte Doncrief.
Monte Doncrief is up there, so congrats to them.
Leroy likes to brag about it, so hey.
Well, there you
job,
go.
guys.
And I'm sure he will be. Thanks to Football Guys, Roto World, Roto Pass, and Rob for tonight's rundown, Dave. The New York Football Jets activated running back Elijah McGuire from injured reserve, according to Rich Cimini on Twitter. Now, McGuire is expected to play against the Dolphins this week, and Trenton Cannon not expected to be active, or if he is, he'll just be on special teams. So cut him if you got him. I'm assuming you agree with that, right?
Yep.
And McGuire is probably going to be the third down guy or maybe a change-up running back to Isaiah Crowell. You're adding him in your leagues that you are participating in, or you already have added him as an end-of-the-bench type flyer.
Yeah, it's a good idea to do so.
Yeah.
I don't have him in many, but yes.
I have him in a few.
Yeah.
In fact, I actually dropped Trenton Cannon in a few to pick up Elijah McGuire this week. So I'm not super bullish on Elijah McGuire. However, anytime you can get me the pass-catching running back in an offense that features Isaiah Crowell, I think there's some fantasy value there.
Absolutely 100% agree with that.
And for the longest time, it was Bilal Powell for me, and I fell on that sword a couple of weeks ago, which was really frustrating.
Well, that's all right. Powell was the guy, and he got hurt or whatever. By the way, remember how the Jets were going to go 2-14 or 3-13?
Yeah.
They're doing a pretty good job.
Looking good.
Todd Bowles is a good coach. I think Todd Bowles is a good coach.
Really?
Yeah.
He's a really good defensive coach.
He gets a little bit of, I don't think he gets enough credit, actually.
Yeah.
They do pretty
Well, his first year, didn't they make the playoffs? I think they had a double-digit win record,
yeah.
and then they kind of stunk after that. And maybe it was expectations got higher after year one. I'm not sure.
When I look at the team, I don't see all this super talented. I think he gets a lot out of his players.
Yeah. Right, and
he's like the inverted. He's like the anti-Huey Jackson.
Right. And you look at what he's doing on that team, Dave. I mean, no Terrell Pryor, probably no Robbie Anderson, probably no Quincy Enunwa.
Yeah.
Chris Herndon catches a touchdown every week, but that's always his only catch. And you have Rashard Matthews.
Curse just shows up and runs around a lot.
Yeah, and then Isaiah Crowell, and then a 14-year-old rookie and Sam Darnold running things on offense. It's just
Darnold's gonna be great.
It's crazy.
That'll be nice.
It's very, very crazy. Minneapolis Star Tribune's Ben Gosling reports the Vikings plan to have Dalvin Cook active, but he will play limited reps against Detroit this coming weekend. This is coming up on the Vikings bye week. They have a Week 10 bye, so this is kind of weird that they want to try him out there now. And Latavius Murray, it's not like he's been sucking. He's been very, very good over the last 3 or 4 weeks. I'm curious. Now, we're given the Ben Gosling report. Courtney Cronin, who covers the Vikings for ESPN, actually said that he may only, I forget what it was, he's only going to be active for 8 to 10 snaps, and Gosling said it'd be like 12 to 24 snaps. Either way, you can't feel good about starting Dalvin Cook if he's going to play that limited.
What was the first number?
8 to 10 snaps.
Oh, come on. Why do they do this to fantasy owners?
Yeah.
They know they care about our team.
Right. But here's the thing. That's not touches. That's not catches. That's not rushes. That's snaps. So you look at Dalvin Cook this week, Dave, he is a must-bench for me, even if he's active. The question for high-stakes owners comes in, what do you do with Latavius Murray? Are you going to roll him out there against Detroit? Are you going to sit him? One thing to consider, what happens, and I know that's not a likelihood of happening, what happens if Dalvin Cook touches the ball 3 or 4 times early in the game, rattles off a 5-yard gain, a 10-yard gain, a 4-yard gain, a 15-yard gain, he's looking really good. Because that's going to take away snaps from Latavius Murray, and now all of a sudden, maybe they quote-unquote ride the hot hand, and because Dalvin Cook's looking good, they're going to give him more touches. Again, not a high likelihood of something like that happening, but it is certainly within the realm of possibility. So your thoughts on Latavius Murray this week as maybe like a top 20 running back? Are you looking to deploy him as an RB2? Are you looking to deploy him as a flex? I know we're not playing Dalvin Cook. The question is, are we playing Latavius Murray this week? I think that's where the analysis has to come in.
It's tough to play Murray given that Cook's coming back. I mean, because, Murray's had games where he's been terrible when he's had it all to himself. They're playing Detroit. They're favored by 5. I think the total is like 49 or something like that. So they're probably going to do fine. Score 25, 27, 30 points.
Right.
I'd be looking for other options, but I guess if I was dire or desperate, I would consider starting Murray, but I would not expect more than 10 points.
All right, this is interesting. Let's play Would You Rather here real quick with Latavius Murray, because I think this is going to be interesting stuff. Would you rather play Latavius Murray at home against the Lions, Dave, or Mark Ingram at home against the Rams?
Ingram.
I agree. Nick Chubb at home against the Chiefs. I agree. The suddenly questionable Chris Carson at home against the Chargers.
Oh, Carson's... Yeah,
I don't know if you'll be able to make this call. I think they play late and Latavius plays
If
early.
you hear the rumors that it's likely that Carson's going to be active, I'm starting Carson. If they really say, well, we don't really know, I'd probably still start Carson. I feel all right about him.
Here's a fun one. Latavius Murray or Lamar Miller at the Broncos?
Miller.
Wow, okay. Not as fun as I thought. Latavius Murray or Kerryon Johnson in that same game against the Vikings?
Kerryon Johnson.
Latavius Murray or Kenyon Drake against the Jets?
Got to start Drake's he's up there. In spite of the fact that he shares time with Gore, he seems to make plays still.
I think I'm going with Murray over Drake there.
$5?
I don't feel that confident. Well, I mean, seriously, it's a coin flip. I don't want to, make it seem like I'm super confident.
$5. There's no juice on our bets.
I know. Tariq Cohen has been crushing it the last few weeks. Would you rather play Latavius Murray or, wait for it, Jordan Howard at the Bills?
You know what? I got the Bills. They're favored by 10. Over-under 37. I don't own Howard anywhere, so I really don't know much how he's done.
Right.
I'll take Murray.
I would too. Latavius Murray, now this is kind of a cheap one because you're going to have to
make... from the chat.
Okay.
Deion Lewis or Latavius Murray?
Latavius Murray.
I'll start Deion Lewis.
Okay.
I'll bet 5 on that too.
Yeah, I'll take Latavius Murray over Deion Lewis, Week 9 fantasy points. I got 5 on it.
I got 5 on it. I'll take Deion Lewis.
I got 5 on
Hey, Lost Guy. Thanks for the bet. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I do appreciate that. And I will spend that $5 on Wasp Guy next time I see him in Kentucky or wherever it is.
I have half of a mixer in Vegas.
Yeah, exactly. And so I have Murray and...
Or 4 or 5 margaritas at Fitzgerald's Casino on that one side of the street.
Hey, one more. Latavius Murray or Sony Michel against the Packers?
I'm starting Murray. I don't even know if
Because you don't
playing.
know if Michel's playing yet. Okay, so that's a cheap one. Latavius Murray or Tevin Coleman at the Redskins?
Coleman. Why wouldn't I start Coleman? He's the starting running back. He's been getting all the carries. You want to bet that one too? I'll take Coleman.
I will bet that one. Ito Smith, he's not a thing, Dave.
Yeah, well, if you have a thing for Ito Smith, that's fine. I'll take Tevin Coleman.
All right, so I have Latavius Murray.
Second stringer in Minnesota.
You have Tevin Coleman, and I have 5.
I got 5 on it.
All right, good stuff. I want to see if there's any others I can get you on here.
Leverage?
Yeah. Latavius Murray or Aaron Jones?
Murray.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can't trust Packers running backs.
Here's one. I got one. I will totally go $5 on this one if you want to. Latavius Murray or Alex Collins at home against the Steelers?
I'll take Collins.
All right. You got 5 on it?
Sure.
All right. Latavius Murray.
Don't play the music.
All right. I won't play the music.
I'll play it.
You want me to play it?
If you don't play it, it doesn't count.
All right. I got 5 on Latavius Murray over Alex Collins.
I got 5 on.
I got 5 on it.
I knew this was going to be good.
This is a lot of money on Murray here. When he scores 6 points, you're going to be pissed off.
Here's an interesting one. I don't know if I have a strong feeling on this one. Latavius Murray. You know what? No, we'll do it. Latavius Murray or LaShawn McCoy?
Is this actually a show?
Yeah, it is. LaShawn McCoy at home against the Bears.
Against a really good defense, and McCoy can't. What do you have? 12 carries for 13 yards, or was it vice versa?
No, it was something like that.
I'll take Shady McCoy. I don't care. But I'm not betting now.
Yeah, I was ready to push the button. I was all ready for that one. All right.
Let's do one. Who cares? Let's do it. Throw it up there.
All right.
Count it. Hit it again.
All right, hold on. So that was Latavius Murray
McCoy
versus McCoy. You have McCoy. We are breaking records here on the show tonight. All right, I got 5 on Latavius Murray over LaShawn McCoy.
Yeah,
I got 5 on
Last one. I don't think I'm gonna.
I have one more after this one, but go ahead.
Latavius Murray or Peyton Barber. Peyton Barber, by the way, is going up against the.
I'll take Barber.
At Carolina.
I'll take Barber.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Because I don't think Latavius Murray.
All right, cool.
For $5 for it?
Sure.
All right, I got 5 on Latavius Murray over Peyton Barber.
I got 5 on it.
All right, here's the last one.
I'm going to break this button.
Dalvin Cook or Latavius Murray? Ha! Got you to 5.
Dalvin Cook or Latavius.
Same team, Holmes.
Yeah, I would take Latavius Murray.
All right, I don't know what I'm going to take.
Yeah, I think you would take Latavius Murray.
I'm going to take Cook.
For $5, you are insane.
Why not?
Somebody take this man's wallet away from him. I have Latavius Murray over Dalvin Cook.
I'll take the starter.
All right. You
When
have
Murray gets like 6 points, like I said.
I got 5.
I got 5 on it.
All right, let's move on.
I got 5 on
Hold on. We seriously did break the button.
It was really good until
Gabe,
Brad
6 bets on Latavius
$30.
Murray.
You have $30 on Latavius Murray.
Yeah, I do.
A journeyman piece of crap running back
Who's been crushing it? Who has been crushing it?
He's also not crushed it when he had the whole thing to himself before.
I don't even care how my fantasy teams do this week. I'm not even going to turn on Red Zone.
You're only gonna watch that one
Fire
game.
up the Vikings-Lions games, the only one I have any interest in watching this week.
You're going to keep refreshing NFL.com if you don't have access to it.
Speaking of the Vikings, Stephon Diggs is questionable for that Lions game. This is according to the official team account on Twitter. Diggs finally practiced today, was reportedly limited and actually removed from the field after a few minutes of work, this according to Roto World. He will maybe be limited on Sunday. It sounds like he's going to go. Darius Slay could cover him, or he could cover Adam Thielen.
I don't trust that Diggs is going.
You don't think it is?
I actually think it's a little bit less than 50%.
Let me ask you this, Dave.
I think you might get a surprise and active on Diggs. If you don't have a Diggs plan, you're going to be doing
All right, I got 5 on Latavius Murray outscoring Stephon Diggs.
I'm not betting that.
Hey, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Let's say you're a fringe playoff team, okay? And
most of my teams.
you're trying to make the playoffs.
Also sounds like what I like to do.
You have one flex spot available.
Okay.
You can use it on.
By the way, it's a terrible format, whatever you're playing.
No, I'm saying like your lineup's totally set. You know who you're playing, but this last flex spot,
right.
You don't know what to do. Are you playing Stephon Diggs or Dalvin Cook? And assuming they're both active.
Oh, if they're both active, I'm playing Diggs.
Okay, that's the way I would go too.
Nice try.
That was fun. Royce Freeman, Dave, is questionable for the Texans game, according to Nikki Chavala on Twitter. Royce Freeman tried to practice yesterday, was not able to do so, and was limited, and he is a quote-unquote true game-time decision for Sunday. Now, if he's not able to suit up, Philip Lindsay is going to get even more touches, and Devontae Booker would be an interesting play in this league, or this week as well. Okay, let's break this down real quick. I don't think there's a whole lot of analysis here. You're playing Lindsay no matter what.
Right.
Okay. Royce Freeman, you're sitting him even if he is active.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he's not been productive one.
He's inactive. Let's just say he's inactive. Denver taking on Houston. Does Devontae Booker make your flex ranks at all?
I mean, if I was really desperate, he's in like the Frank Gore range for me.
Okay, let me ask you this. If you were even more than really desperate, would he be your second running back?
Well, I mean, if he has to be. If you have no other options, he's got to have to be your second running back.
He is my second running back.
I mean, he's better than, I prefer him over like Mike Davis or somebody.
He's my second running back in the Gridiron Legends Dynasty League this week.
Well, very nicely to take one for the team on that.
I'm going to be honest with you. Have you looked at the standings in that league? I am not too far away, and I've been doing it without Fournette.
That's impressive, actually. My team, too, it's not that good. It's like an old person that's just kind of getting ready to get sent off to the hospice.
Hospice care.
It's got Fitzgerald and Julio and Shady McCoy.
I feel like
it's got some good players, like Gurley and stuff like that.
I feel like you offered me your first-round pick for somebody on my
Corey
team.
Davis. And you
Shut up.
Yeah.
God damn it. I can't believe. That sucks.
That's right. I remember I left it out there for like 5 or 6 days, and then you returned it down, and I'm like, oh, dude, thanks, because I forgot I even offered that. I think I was drinking the night before, and I'm glad you turned it down. So thanks again.
I'm going to be honest with you. My night is just ruined after that.
Well,
Son of a gun.
I still have a first-round pick, and you still have Corey Davis, so this is it's working out well.
Can't even. Oh,
That's hilarious.
Sucks.
Yeah,
and I get why.
His breakout year is going to be next year. Remember?
I get why I declined it, but
It
still.
wasn't this year.
I guess I didn't envision you having it I thought this was going to be like a mid to late first round pick. I didn't realize.
Well, at the time I was thinking it might be more like a playoff team, but maybe not.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, you and I are in the same boat. I think you're still ahead of me though in making the playoffs.
Yeah, but still not that great.
Move on to fantasy feedback. Ben in Newark, Pennsylvania. Hey, DeAndre and Kiki, is Demarius Thomas better, worse, or the same for fantasy after he landed in Houston? I'll hang up and listen for your answer. Thank you, Ben in Newark, PA. Demarius Thomas gets shipped to Houston. Your thoughts on how his value changes?
I think it's actually better.
Explain.
Well, he's got a better quarterback. Deshaun Watson's better than Case freaking Keenum.
Totally true.
And he wasn't all that super productive with Keenum in Denver this year. For some reason, they just weren't ignoring him. Whether he's slowed down, isn't as good, whatever it is. But maybe he actually just gets rejuvenated. And I think the change of atmosphere and to a lower atmosphere might be better for him. Closer to ski level.
Good one. I picked up on that. Yeah, I don't know. I
love your analysis.
Well, I'm just saying, like, he was the number 2 target in Denver. He's the number 2 target in Houston. Maybe the number 3 target with all this stuff that Kiki QT's been getting underneath.
Give me a break with QT.
I'm not giving you a break.
He breaks his pinky toe every week. This guy's a whip.
Oh, yes.
He barely plays.
Okay, I'll tell you this.
He's almost as much of a week. He's almost as injured as Will Fuller. And that's saying something.
Well, Fuller is officially out for the year. But
I'm saying all the time.
Okay, it's not like Demarius Thomas has never been hurt. And bear in mind. Bear in mind.
Demarius Thomas has missed like one game since.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Yes, and you know what the problem with that is? He plays through a lot, and I think that contributes to why he drops all these passes all the time. And you cannot argue with that because Demarius Thomas and Amari Cooper could have a drop off, and I don't even know who would win because I don't think any of those guys would catch any passes. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Okay. You're trying to make up for your mistake there.
No, it's not a mistake because I owned Demarius Thomas in several dynasty leagues, and it was always so frustrating because that guy's listed as questionable every week with a groin, with a forearm, with an ankle, with a quad, all the time. And I think, and honestly, now I'm not laughing when I say this. I think that because Demarius Thomas is so tough and because he tries to gut this out, I think that does have a lot of reason to do with why he drops so many passes.
Look, QT didn't even play weeks 1, 2, and 3.
He's not a pinnacle of health.
And then he missed week 8. So
he's not a pinnacle of health. What do you want me to tell you?
He's played 50% of the game.
Yeah, and his career, if you want to extend that to.
I know it's a small sample size, but I mean that's the size we got, man.
I'm just saying, like you look at.
Look, Demetrius Thomas.
Who is the number?
I'm going to call him Demetrius.
Who is the number? I guess it was Cortland Sutton. Cortland Sutton was very good in Denver, so I guess he's jumping into a similar situation, right? Emmanuel Sanders is the DeAndre Hopkins. Cortland Sutton is the Kiki QT. You know, obviously Sutton's better than QT, and Hopkins is better than Sanders. But there are some parallels there. Now the quarterback thing is, you're right. He does have a much better quarterback going to him.
I think they're more likely to be a little bit more likely to be playing with the lead. Houston's a little bit better team.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Moving on to.
We beat that one to death.
Scott in Bolton, Massachusetts. What's up, guys? Is Aaron Jones a top 20 back the rest of the way with only Jamal Williams there to screw things up for him? Thank you for the email. Scott in Bolton, Mass. Dave, your thoughts on Aaron Jones being freed?
Yeah, I don't know. No.
Ty Montgomery was hardly touching the ball on offense to begin with.
Right.
Part of the reason that he had this, sideline blow up about, not getting the ball was because he didn't know his role. He wasn't being used. He didn't know what he was supposed to do for the team. I don't really see how Ty Montgomery being traded to Baltimore all of a sudden, unlocks the cheat code of Aaron Jones.
Yeah, I agree. And, the Packers running backs they have not traditionally been top 20 backs. When they get into the red zone, they get close. Rodgers likes to throw to Randall Cobb if he's playing, or Devontae Adams, or whether it's Jimmy Graham or somebody else, or he likes to run it in once in a while. He actually does, but they do that a lot. So I don't know. They like to throw it close. Not as much as Brett Favre, by the way. Brett Favre was the king of stealing touchdowns from everybody.
Yeah.
Just to pad his stats.
Right.
But Rodgers does that a little bit too.
This may be only interesting to me, but I'm going to say it anyway. Bill Barnwell from ESPN put out a. By the way, Bill Barnwell, I don't think he can write anything that's less than 150,000 words. I don't know if you ever read his stuff, but
Quite verbose.
it's he put out an article on. I'm going to miss the gist of it, but it was like he tiered everybody out on the current NFL roster for each team. Locks to be on the roster next year, likely to be on the roster, likely not to be on the roster next year. He had Jimmy Graham for the Packers listed as likely not to be on the roster next year.
Who's that again?
Jimmy Graham.
Yeah.
Which I think is semi-interesting given that, in my opinion, Randall Cobb is not a Packer next year. I think he is gone.
Who was the other player you said, Graham or somebody else?
No, just Graham.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Yeah.
I agree about
Cobb, yeah.
I totally agree about Cobb.
And if Cobb and Graham are gone from this team next year, I mean, fire up MVS, man.
Dude, I really think Valdez Scalding is worth a lot.
Yeah.
Whatever. Spalding.
He is
I'm gonna call him
scalding hot.
Scalding and Spalding. I'm not going to call him Stanley ever.
You should hear some of the pronunciations we get from some of the callers on my local radio show. That's great.
Where's that show then?
I don't want to get into it.
All right. So anyway, I think he's worth quite a bit. I think
Score WI.
if you can acquire him for a 2019 second, you absolutely should do it.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that.
I don't know if you want to pay a late 2019 first, but you might be willing to if you need a receiver.
Aaron Jones, to get it back to the emailer's question, Aaron Jones over or under a top 30 running back from here on out the rest of the season? Top 30 FFPC scoring?
No, I don't think so.
I think he might be.
Oh yeah, he might be.
Okay.
I mean,
all right.
I think he's like 31.
You don't have anti-Latavius Murray confidence in this.
No.
Yeah.
31 to 40 is where I'd probably.
Okay. Fair enough.
I guess like 25 to 30.
Jamal Williams is terrible.
There's only so many teams in the NFL for God's sake. So I guess 25 to 30. Sure, 25 to 30, I'll give it.
Okay.
Not 21 to 30.
All right, fair enough. Doug in Concord, California. By the way, I agree with you. Doug in Concord, California. Are you guys bullish on starting Marvin Jones more now, or is he still going to be Kenny Galladay's little brother in that offense? And specifically, would you play him this week over Funchess? Thanks so much. That is Doug in Concord, California. Thank you, Doug, for the email. So let's answer the first part of the question first. Marvin Jones, do you like him a little bit? I mean, obviously you like him more now that Golden Tate's out of there. But is he the type of guy that is a viable weekly player for you where you're considering him when you're setting your lineups each week, Dave?
Yeah, I think so. That's a lot of That's a lot of targets gone. So I think you have to fire up Jones and Galladay pretty much every week.
What about Michael Roberts now that Tate's gone?
Yeah.
No? Okay. As tight end premium scoring leagues like the FFPC, I thought he'd be semi-interesting. Apparently not.
Well, I mean, what has he done? Has he done anything?
Well, I caught a couple of touchdowns last week, so. Or was that 2 weeks ago that he had the 2-touchdown game? I can't remember which. He has done some things. He's doing stuff and things. Second part of the question, Marvin Jones or Devin Funchess this week was his question. Marvin Jones obviously taking on Minnesota. In Minnesota, Devin Funchess is playing the Buccaneers at home. So which one would you rather play this week? Things to consider.
No, it's just
Steve Smith, DJ Moore,
yeah,
Christopher McCaffrey.
It's interesting. I might actually play Jones.
Jones on the road.
I have a tough time trusting Funchess. Here's the thing about Funchess. Funchess never has 25-point games.
Yeah, that is true.
He's like 5 for 74.
And Marvin Jones.
Once in a while he gets a touchdown.
And Marvin Jones is coming off one.
Yeah, and Marvin Jones every once in a while will be like 8 for 160 and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Like, where'd that come from? Because
Yeah.
I caught a 70-yard bomb or whatever. So
he's a rich man's Devery Henderson.
but now with Tate gone, I think he has a higher floor, and I think you have more of a bonus. You have more of the bonus opportunities to just have these big games with Jones.
I'm not sure if sports betting man Lance Turvis in the chat room tonight. I'm not sure if he knows Doug in Concord, California, but Concord is 10 minutes from his brother's house, who lives in Danville, and he saw Willie Nelson once at the Concord Pavilion.
That's great.
So maybe he.
I thought Willie Nelson was great.
I'm sure he was. Final email tonight. Tom in Syracuse, New York. Austin Eckler at Seattle or LaShawn McCoy at home against the Bears. Thank you for the email. Tom in Syracuse, New York. Which one do you like better here? Eckler, who is the backup to Melvin Gordon, or LaShawn McCoy, who is the starter to Chris Ivory? Which one are you playing this week?
I got to start McCoy, I guess.
It's razor thin for me, Dave. I am not a Shady McCoy guy, And I think here's you want to know how I come to the decision of
Sure.
I'm playing Eckler over McCoy.
It's pretty close.
I'm playing Eckler over McCoy, and here's why. If Eckler ends up, going 6 for 50 and a touchdown or something like that, catching, like, yeah, I played him over LaShawn McCoy this week.
That's how you make your decision?
Yeah, like what's going to make me look cooler? And that would definitely
that's not how
make
you
me
really
look
operate.
No, but I don't know. But honestly, right now, I would probably play Eckler over McCoy. I just have no faith in LaShawn McCoy going forward. Not so much McCoy, the offense.
Yeah, it is.
They're
going to score maybe one touchdown for the game, so maybe they'll score 2.
Yeah, and it'll probably be Charles effing Clay or somebody like that.
Yeah.
Both of them.
Charles Clay's on the waiver wire in a lot of spots too, just because of how bad.
I know, and I had in that tight end screw up league, I put in for him too as like a fallback if I didn't get Hayden Hurst. So we'll see what happens. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to do it for our show this week. I want to thank Brad Kruse for coming on tonight. Really appreciate his input. Dave Gerzak, the FFPC, Rob, Bryce, and of course each and every one. You know what I'm going to have to do at some point this weekend?
Oh.
Got to get out to the mall. Go to the jersey store, pick up a Lat Murray jersey, and I'm gonna wear that for the Vikings-Lions tilt and cheer on my boy Latavius, and then flip to my Aaron Rodgers jersey for the nightcap with the Packers and Pats.
Give me a Spalding jersey if they want it.
You know what's sad? Well, this isn't probably sad. I'm sure that I'm thinking the ratio of MVS jerseys to Latavius Murray jerseys at our local shop here in Northeast Wisconsin. Yeah, Shields Sports. It's probably like 10 to 1, and it may be even more than that.
MVS.
Latavius Murray for president.
Whatever.
Thanks for listening, everybody.
Oh, look, it's 12:30 on $2 Tap Tuesday. Except now it's technically Wednesday, and you're awfully hungry. Why not Eat Street it? After all, you're in no shape to be operating microwave machinery. Eat Street's got your back, and your egg rolls, calzones, and curly fries, all delivered to your front door, so you don't go and do something dumb. Hungry? Happy? Eat Street.
Green Bay and Appleton get free delivery only on Eat Street.